Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let's pray and thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for this gift I can make video of research proposal seminar. Before start, I would like to thanks to Mr. Dr. Suherman MSI and Mrs. Dr. Randa Umi Mardiati MSI as my lecturer who has guided me during writing research proposal. Let me to introduce myself. My name is Nabila Nurul Aini. I'm from Manajemen major 2018. Faculty of Economics, University of Jakarta. In this video, I would like to present about my research proposal, and the title is Determinants of Capital Structure on Property and Real Estate Companies List on the Indonesia Stock Exchange for the period for 2015 until 2020. In carrying out business activities, capital plays a role as a driving force for asset financing, business operational activities, as well as business expansion. The capital required for each stage of the business is based on the importance of capital structure decision that determine the combination of sources of obtaining funds obtained as a financing for company assets. According to Seik and Wang 2011, making wrong decisions regarding capital structure can lead to financial difficulties or even bankruptcy. This needs to be an important concern for company managers who have a role in making funding decisions or capital structure decisions, so that they need to be careful and thorough in comparing various sources of funding to create an optimal mix of capital, or one that can minimize the overall cost of capital and maximize the value of the company, because it reflects how the company's financial condition. According to Sulindawati 2017, page 112, an important concept of capital management concerns the issue of financial balance between liabilities and assets owned by the company. The property sector has a major role in Indonesia's national economic growth. However, since 2015, the property and real estate sector has experienced a slowdown in growth, which is constantly at 3.5%. The contribution of the property and real estate sectors to Indonesia's gross domestic product, or GDP, is still low compared to other ASEAN countries at 2.77% in 2019. The property sector has a multiplier effect role in which there are 175 other sectors and 3,500 MSMEs that have direct and indirect links with the property and real estate sectors. Even the very small GDP contribution of the property and real estate sector has a large impact on the related sectors. The increased growth in the property sector will have a major impact on increasing demand for other sectors to boost Indonesian national economic growth. In the midst of a crisis, companies need to read and understand the situation to manage funding, where the capital structure is the foundation of the company's sustainability. The determinants of capital structure can provide an indication that managers need to consider in determining the optimal company capital structure. Research novelty. The novelty in this study is that the researchers added the non-debt tax field and earnings volatility variables from previous studies in Indonesia related to the capital structure of property and real estate companies, and combined the use of tangibility, non-debt tax field, and earnings volatility as independent variables. In the following, the researchers compares with several previous studies in Indonesia related to the capital structure of the property and real estate sectors previously listed in Sinta. Researchers took the research listed in Sinta related to the capital structure of property and real estate companies. It can be seen that there is no research in Indonesia that combines these three variables and use of non-debt textile variables and in earning volatility has not been used in research on the determinants of capital structure in property and real estate companies in Indonesia. Research question. In this study, research question is: 1. Does profitability has a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies listed on Indonesia Stock Exchange rate for the period 2015 until 2020? And 2, the second is, does firm size has a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange rate? Stock exchange for the period 2015 until 2020. And the third is, does liquidity has a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange for the period 2015 until 2020. And the fourth is, does non-debt textile has a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange for the period 2015 until 2020. And the fifth is, does tangibility has a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange for the period 2015 until 2020. And sixth is, does growth opportunities have a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange for the period 2015 until 2020. And the last, or the seventh, is, does earnings volatility has a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange for the period 2015 until 2020. And this is for the research purpose. The first is to find out whether profitability has a significant effect on the capital structure, and the second is to find out whether firm size has a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies, and the third is to find whether liquidity has a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies. And the fourth is to find out whether non-debt textile has a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies. And the fifth is to find out whether tangibility has a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies. And the sixth is to find out whether growth opportunities has a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies. And the seventh is to find out whether earnings volatility has a significant effect on the capital structure of property and real estate companies. Next, research benefit. Theoretical benefits. This research can be a contribution to science, especially financial management, in adding insight and studies on the determinants of the capital structure of property and real estate companies. And for practical benefits for companies, research results can be taken into consideration in managing company funding to achieve an optimal capital structure. And for investor or creditors, the research result can be used as consideration in assessing the company's performance as reflected in its capital structure, which can be considered in making investment decision or lending decision. Chapter 2, Conceptual Description, Supporting Theory. Modern capital structure theory was pioneered by Modigliani and Miller, or M&M, in 1958. The expansion of M&M theory gave rise to other capital structure theories, including trade-off theory and pecking order theory, in which the choice of external financing depends on these two theories. Trade-off theory, introduced by Krauss Allen and Robert Riesenberger in 1973. This theory states that the optimal capital structure can be realized by a trade-off theory. Can be realized by a trade-off between tax benefits on debt and financial costs arising from bankruptcy risks and agency costs. For trade-off theory, according to Chuckleder and Chawla 2016, in the trade-off theory, companies must have optimal debt levels and need to achieve the company's debt target level. Thus, in this theory, as long as the sacrifices met are not greater than the benefit derived from the use of debt or can be said to be balanced, additional sources of funding from debt are still allowed. And for pecking order theory, proposed by Dolan Son in 1961 and modified by Meyers and Magluf in 1984. This theory assumes that in financial decision, the company has an order in using funding sources and to minimize the problem of information asymmetry. Pecking order, this pecking order, according to Garibay and Al-Tahat 2020 and Said Al-Yosfi 2020, this theory states that companies prefer internal funding in the form of retained earnings compared to external funding, and if external funding is needed, the company will use a safe source first, namely debt as a last resort using equity financing. This is done because of the risk fast smaller. Capital structure or dependent variable. Capital structure based on the opinion of Bajaj at 2018, Kumar 2017, and Kamiri and Nobi 2018. Capital structure is a mixture of various optimal funding sources of debt and equity from debt and equity, which is used to fund company assets, company operational activities, and company investment activities. The factors are considered in determining the capital structure according to Brigham and Houston 2019, page 359, and Sulindawati 2017, page 121, are long-term viability, management conservatism, supervision, asset structure, business risks, growth rate, tax, and reserve loan capacity, sales stability, operation elasticity, profitability, control, attitude of creditors, market condition, company internal condition, and financial flexibility. For the components of capital structure, according to Brigham and Houston 2019, page 359, and Sugiarto 2009, page 4, consists of debt and equity. In the research of Sheikh and Wang 2011, Garibay and Al-Taha 2020, and Yosef 2019, capital structure is measured using the debt to asset ratio with the formula for total debt divided by total asset. While in the research of Ahmad 2017, Moradi and Paulet 2019, and Sofar and Singh 2017, capital structure is measured using the debt to equity ratio with the formula for total debt divided by total equity. variable independent. First is profitability. Based on the opinion of Ahmad 2017, Kashmir 2018, page 196, and Aloysius 2017, that profitability is a measure that measures a company's ability to generate profits from the company's operational activities. Based on research conducted by Chandra at Chandra 2019, Kahya 2020, and Wang 2019, profitability is measured using return on asset with the formula net income divided by total asset. While based on research of Chakleder and Chawla 2016, Husna and Setijani 2018, and Nguyen 2020, it is measured by return on equity with the formula net profit divided by total equity. Next, company size is X2. Based on the opinion of Ningsi and Waspada 2019, Ahmad 2017, and Cole 2015, company size is the size of a company in terms of total asset. So, company size is the size of a company in terms of total sales, total assets, or market capitalization owned by the company. Based on research conducted by Sig Wang 2011, Garaibe and Altaha 2020, and Yosef 2019, company size is measured by the natural logarithm of total assets. Liquidity, or X3, based on the opinion of Brigham and Houston 2019, Chada and Sarma 2015, and Kashmir 2018, liquidity is the relationship between current asset and current liabilities of a company that show the company's ability to meet its short-term obligation that will mature using the short-term asset held. Based on the research of Seik Wang 2011, Dakwa 2018, and Saif 2020, liquidity is measured using the current ratio with the formula of current asset divided by current liabilities, while in the research of Husna and Setyajani 2018, using the quick ratio with the formula of current asset minus inventory and divided by current liabilities. And then non-debt tax shield. In this study, based on Dakwa's research 2018, Nguyen 2019, and Seik and Wang 2011, non-debt tax shield is measured by the purchase expense divided by total asset. For tangibility, based on the opinion of Lee and Islam 2019, Chekrezi 2013, and Chada and Sarma 2015, tangibility is a fixed asset owned by a company from the total asset that can be used as company guarantee to creditors. And based on research of Nguyen 2019, Sek and Wang 2012, and Yosef 2019, tangibility is measured by fixed asset divided by total asset. Growth opportunities. Based on the opinion of Husna and Setiajani 2018, Chandra 2014, and Prasetya and Asan Dimitri 2014, growth opportunities are an opportunity that the company has for development. And based on research of Seik and Wang in 2011 and Chen 2004, growth opportunities are measured by dividing the ratio of sales growth by growth in total asset, while in the research of Garaibe and Altaha 2020, Nguyen 2019, and Yosef 2019, is measured by dividing the market value and the value, as is the case with the research of Alipur at Alipur 2015, Kamire and Nobi 2018, and Saif 2020, measure it by subtracting by the current year's total asset minus the previous year's and dividing by the previous year's total asset. And the next is earning volatility, the last variable independent. Earning volatility is change in the increase or decrease in the company operating income and its risk quickly. Based on research of Kemiri and Novik 2018, Moradi and Paula 2019, and Saif ISP 2020, earning volatility use the formula for the standard deviation of earnings before interest and tax divided by total asset. GDP growth in this study is control variable. Based on the opinion, GDP growth is the growth rate of the total market value of goods and services produced domestically by adjusting for price changes. And based on the research of Ragibi and Obit 2021, Saif 2020, and Yildirim 2018, GDP growth is measured by the annual GDP growth rate in percent. And previous research result. For profitability, there are several previous research results related to the relationship between profitability and capital structure, where the result of these studies lead to contradiction or there is no agreement on the result of this relationship. And also for firm size, there are several previous research results related to the relationship between firm size and capital structure, where the result of some of these studies contradiction or there is no agreement on the result of this relation. Okay, the next is liquidity. Also for liquidity, there are contradiction results. Non-debt textile, there are contradiction results. Also for tangibility, and also for growth opportunities, contradiction result. And the last also for earnings volatility, there are contradiction result and less study for this variable. Next is theoretical framework, profitability to capital structure. In according UN 2019, so far and since 2017, companies with high profitability reflect the availability of large amounts of return earning, which leads to a lack of use of debt as the main source of financing. In line with that, Graibe and Altaha 2020 reveal that the company will use debt when internal funding sources are not sufficient to finance the company's operation. And Yosef 2019 thinks that companies with high level of profitability will have high dividend payout, thus create an increased market capitalization and leading to a decrease in the company's debt ratio. From several theories of experts, it can be said that there is positive relationship between profitability and capital structure, and the pecking order theory also supports the profitable companies will have more return earning and tend to be less leveraged. Some of the results of previous studies have shown that there is a relationship like Ahmad, Nguyen, Graibe, Ming, Mursalim, Saif Al-Yusfi, Sarah Squirrel, Sheikh Enwa, and Sof and Singh, and then Yosef. Based on the pecking order theory and result of previous research on capital structure, the hypothesis of the relationship between liquidity and capital structure is determined as follows. Profitability has a negative effect on capital structure. The next is company size to capital structure. According to Garaibe and Altaha 2020 and Sheikh Wang 2011, large companies has higher debt level because more diversified, able to fulfill creditors' commitment, less prone to bankruptcy, good reputation in debt market, and low asymmetric information. Nguyen and Ming 2070 argue that asymmetric information owned by large companies is smaller than that of small companies. Therefore, it has advantages in accessing external financing. From several theories of experts, it can be said that there is a positive relationship between firm size and capital structure. In Joseph, trade-off theory predicts that largest firms will have a higher debt level because these firms have greater diversification and lower default risk. Some of the results of previous studies have shown that there is a relationship based on the pecking order theory and the result of previous research on capital structure. The hypothesis of the relationship between liquidity and capital structure is determined as follows: firm size positively affects capital structure. Next, liquidity to capital structure. According to Saif Al-Yosfi 2020, Chakrabarti 2019, Neves 2020, and Shahzad 2021, high liquidity reflects current assets that are higher than current liabilities and guarantee positive working capital and sufficient funds so as to avoid the use of debt. Neves 2020 argues that firms with high liquidity avoid using debt not only because the cost, but also because of the higher associated risk. From several theories of experts, it can be said that there is a negative relationship between liquidity and capital structure. Pecking order theory supports this view, and some of the results of previous studies have shown that there is a relationship. Based on the pecking order theory and the result of previous research on capital structure, the hypothesis of relationship between liquidity and capital structure is determined as follows. Liquidity has a negative effect on capital structure. And next is non-debt tax shield to capital structure. According to Rao 2019, the non-debt tax shield is considered a substitute for tax protection on debt financing, so company doesn't need the debt to get tax deduction. Panda 2020 also thinks that companies that choose non-debt tax shield as tax deduction don't create excessive costs. Chuck Leder 2019 reinforced this opinion that one of the reasons why company issues debt is because it gets tax protection on interest. However, this is attractive to the company only when a company has sufficient taxable income to enjoy reduced interest. The non-debt tax shield can be a substitute for the tax shield in the form of debt. Therefore, companies with high non-debt tax shield are expected to have less debt. From several theories of experts, it can be said that there is a negative relationship between non-debt tax shield and capital structure. Trade-off theory also predicts a negative relationship, and some of the results of previous studies have shown that there is a relationship. Therefore, the hypothesis of the relationship between non-debt tax shield and capital structure is determined as follows. Non-debt tax shield negative effect on capital structure. Next is tangibility to capital structure. According to Poe 2017, the higher the level of asset tangibility, the greater the use of debt in the capital structure. Hang 2018, Ming 2017, and Joseph 2019 also thinks that tangibility assets are easier to be a guarantee and thus less loss if the company experiences financial difficulties, which gives a positive signal for creditors. From several theories of experts, it can be said that there is a positive relationship between tangibility and capital structure. Trade-off theory and pecking order theory state that tangibility has a positive influence on capital structure. Some of the results of previous studies have shown that there is a relationship. Therefore, the hypothesis of the relationship between tangibility and capital structure is determined as follows. Tangibility positive effect on capital structure. And next is growth opportunities to capital structure. According to Ramli 2018, the size of a company's growth opportunities is an indication of healthy business performance and has easier access to finance in a competitive market. Subiri 2010 has opinion that large growth opportunities tend to issue securities that are not subject to information asymmetries, namely short-term debt. From several theories of experts, it can be said that there is a positive relationship between growth opportunities and capital structure. The pecking order theory supports this view, and based on the pecking theory and the result of previous research on capital structure, the hypothesis of relationship between tangibility and capital structure is determined as follows: growth opportunities, positive effect on capital structure. And the last is earnings volatility to capital structure. According to Umer 2014 and Sek and Wang 2011, the increase in earnings volatility shows the company's inability to pay interest and debt at maturity, to which leads to a decrease in the company's capacity to use debt. Kamiri and Novik 2018 has opinion. Therefore, a higher company earnings volatility means a greater probability of bankruptcy. Such a situation can certainly reduce the confidence of creditors by not being able to place their money in companies that tend to have a risk of default. From several theories of experts, it can be said that there is a negative relationship between growth opportunities and capital structure. Set of theory and pecking order theory support this view, and some of the results of previous studies have shown that there is a relationship. Therefore, the hypothesis of the relationship between earnings volatility and capital structure is determined as follows: earning volatility, negative effect, and on capital structure. Chapter 3, unit analysis, sample, and population. The unit of analysis, which is the object of this research, is the dependent variable, namely capital structure, and the independent variable are profitability, firm size, liquidity, non-debt taxable, tangibility, growth opportunities, and earnings volatility. The population in this study are property and real estate sector companies listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange for 2015 until 2020 period. Related to the research sample, the researcher used a purposive sampling technique with the following criteria: property and real estate companies listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange during the 2015 until 2020 period, and companies that publish financial report consecutively during the 2015 until 2020 period, and companies that present financial report in rupiah, and companies that display in full the financial data needed by researchers related to the variable in the study. Based on the criteria used, 40 samples and 258 observation data were found. And next is variable operation. In this study, dependent variable is capital structure using a debt to asset ratio measuring instrument with formula that refers to research previous, namely total debt divided by total asset, and debt to equity measuring instrument with formula total debt divided by total equity. And then for profitability, the formula using return on asset, net profit divided total assets. And film size using the formula logarithm natural of total asset, and liquidity using the formula of current ratio, current asset divided by current liabilities, and tangibility, the formula is fixed asset divided by total of asset, and non-debt tax yield, the formula is depreciation divided by total of asset, and growth opportunity, the formulation is total assets, total asset present minus total asset previously divided by total asset previously. And then earnings volatility using standard deviation, earning before interest and tax divided total of asset. And for control of variable control, GDP growth, using annual GDP growth rate in percent. Data collection technique. Secondary data collection, researchers use financial report and annual reports of property and real estate companies listed on Indonesia's stock exchange for the period 2015 until 2020, which were obtained through the website of each company, the website or the website www.idnfinancials.com, or the official website of the Indonesia Stock Exchange, www.idx.co.id. In collecting data through library research, researchers use previous research journals as reference related to connecting theory, and researchers also use book sources to obtain literacy related to the variables studied. And the last is data analysis technique. In data analysis, the first researcher used descriptive statistic in presenting a summary of the data. Furthermore, the researchers use a panel data model regression analysis, which is an analysis carried out on a combination of cross-section and time series data. In this study, there are both data, namely cross-section data consisting of several companies and time series data consisting of several research periods, namely 2015 until 2020. In estimating model parameters using panel data, several methods are needed, including the common effect model, fixed effect model, and random effect model approach. In classical assumption, tasks carried out in this study includes the multicollinearity test and the heteroscedasticity test. Furthermore, the hypothesis test is carried out with the t-test. After that, the coefficient of determinant is carried out. That's my research proposal. Thanks for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.